So I'm Bruce, and today I'm going to put these calipers on my 2005 Frontier. So first I'm going to jack it up on jack stands. To do this, you need socket set, a breaker bar, a pipe, cheater, wrenches, vice grips, torque wrench. You also need to know how to jack up and take off the wheel, and you also need a repair manual or something that tells you what the torques are for the bolts that hold the braking system together, which in this book are all listed right here at the front. Those are all the torques for the different bolts, the caliper mounting bolts, etc. These are good. They come with their own banjo bolt. So, the jack stand there, jack up both sides so that you can put the key in, unlock the steering, also pop the hood, so that you can check your brake fluid never goes too low or overflows. You also need brake fluid, a hose for brake fluid in it for bleeding, and something to catch brake fluid with when you disconnect this brake hose here. So I'm going to clamp this off, undo the nut at the back, that will come off, then I can disconnect this, pull it off and replace it. So with the steering loose and both wheels off, you can twist this around. I can't hold my camera, but you can take this whole thing and you can turn it whichever way you want. So I'm going to spin it out so I got easy access. There, now it's easy to get to. Then you can get your breaker bar in there to undo these bolts for the mounting bracket, which are really tight. So I clamped off the hose, and I'm going to undo this banjo bolt here and disconnect the hydraulics. So I'm catching that banjo bolt, and nothing coming out of there. Good. I'm gonna go and take the caliper off first, just to make it in pieces. It's lighter. So that's this bolt and this bolt. They're not very tight, so you don't have to worry about getting them off. They just come right off. Old caliper. Try this with my new one. Looks good. Now I gotta take the mounting bracket off. this mounting bracket, these big bolts here they're really hard to get off, so that's why you need to have this open, and you need to have this breaker with the correct socket. And then when I put the bar on the end of that, now I got something to pry on to loosen it off with. Okay, loosened. Now I'm gonna put this down because I don't want this to drop. Okay, so that came right off, brake pads and all. I'm gonna put the new bracket back on there. But first, take a couple of bolts, nuts, and just to hold the disc on. And if you want to change the rotor, this is the rotor. This is a new rotor. If you want to change that, you have to do the same. You have to take that bracket off to get this off. And I just put these on to hold the rotor in the proper position so it's not moving around when I put everything back together again. So here's the new bracket. Just goes on, same bolts. Reverse of removal. These, by the way, say left and right. This one is the right one. It says right there, and there's an R in there. And it's important that these bolts get torqued up to the correct torque, which I believe is like 196 foot-pounds. I'm going to check it in my manual, and I'm going to set my torque wrench, which has settings on it. You set it to the right torque, and then you can crank these up so they're proper tightness. Okay, on the manual the correct torque is 136, which I've set my torque wrench for 136. And the way these things work is when it's tight enough, you hear a little click. And it'll be easy to spot on this bolt, but on bolts that are not too tight, it's hard to spot the clicks. You gotta be careful. So, that's what I need there. It's on there. That's it. That click. 136. That's it. So there, I just put the brake pads back on. These clips go in. You grease the ends. I'm not doing brake pads today, but then the brake pads slip in there. So this is now ready for my new caliper to go on there, which is just gonna go on right on top of these two bolts, and it's right here. On she goes. This thing should slip right over top of that, just like that, and then it bolts on there. Almost forgot is these little wire clips. These guys, and they come with the calipers. You got, I guess, 2 per side. So I got 2. I'm gonna put 2 on, and they go on the underneath this thing. I gotta take this back off. Okay, little clip. They go on those. They're like that. Shit. That's not good to get grease on this. Clean that off with brake cleaner. There's my return clips on. You gotta hold this in or they pop out, and this keeps the pads from riding when you're not riding on that rotor when you're not braking. Okay, the torque on these guys is 32, so I reset this thing to 32, cranked it up to 32, and just want to check. Okay, rotor's spinning free, pads are on, everything looks good. I'm going to reconnect the hydraulics back here. These two washers go on either side of that connection. So that so it'll seal. So this goes like this, like that. And the other one goes on there, and then I'll get it started. Okay, the torque on that little guy is only 19. So my torque wrench, that's it. You can hardly hear it. Be careful. Now this can come off. Hose is fine. Connected. Now you have to bleed the air out of this. So this comes off. I got a little wrench for that. Okay, I need another wrench for that. I got a little hose of brake fluid. I'll connect on there. And I will get an assistant to pump the brakes inside so I can bleed that. Now I got both sides done. I just topped up the brake fluid because from all that ran out when I disconnected. Side's done too. Nice and new. So both sides need to get bled now.